We're here in the Red Bull Ring for the 10th race of the 2015 Euroformula Open season. It's the title fight between Konstantin Tereshchenko, Vitor Baptista and Yu Kanemaru is starting to come to the boil. We have got 19 laps to look forward to over the next 35 minutes or so. This the fifth of 8 stops around some of Europe's finest circuits. So it's a very warm welcome from myself, Ben Evans, to an absolutely sweltering Red Bull Ring where the thermometer is well above 30 degrees. The track temperature absolutely scorching. There isn't a breath of breeze and it is a very hot and sticky day. The cars lining up on the grid ahead of this second race of the weekend for the Euroformula Open. Yesterday's race was taken in pulsating fashion by Leonardo Pulcini. But lining up on pole position, the driver who's second in the championship, Vitor Baptista. And Baptista having a pretty wretched day yesterday en route to retirement. He shares the front row with team at Westex, Yarin Stern. Stern looking to get back onto the podium and potentially score his maiden victory in the championship. Third on the grid is Yu Kanemaru, and Kanemaru, like Baptista, retiring yesterday, failing to get into the points. He remains third in the championship, but he is still looking to try and close up on championship leader Konstantin Tereshchenko. Third in yesterday's race, fourth on the grid for today is Tanart Sathienthirakul. And Sathienthirakul pulling off some thrilling overtaking manoeuvres during the action yesterday. Lining up then in fifth place, it is the championship leader Konstantin Tereshchenko. Runner-up in race one. He has won at every single event so far this season. Will today prove to be his fifth win of 2015. Sixth on the grid for Damiano Fioravanti for RP Motorsport. Seventh in the championship. Fioravanti yet to be on the rostrum. He's come close on a couple of occasions, but has been never present in the top 10. Looking very impressive yesterday was the rookie Mexican driver Diego Menchaca. And Menchaca, seventh on the grid. He'd have hoped to be a little bit higher, but he, I'm sure, will race up to challenge for the rostrum placings. So just 3 minutes away from the start here at the home of the Austrian Grand Prix. The drivers still sheltering under the umbrellas. They were qualifying for this race first thing this morning. It was an absolutely thrilling qualifying session. And the time that Vitor Baptista set to take pole position, he actually achieved after the clock had ticked to 0. And that meant there was no opportunity for others to respond. But the field very, very closely bunched in terms of times. Based on yesterday's race, I think we can expect to see them closely bunched on the track as well. Large contingent here to cheer on the Polish rookie driver Igor Wililko. Wililko, who was on the rookie class podium yesterday and well up inside the points as well, en route to a season's best 6th place finish. He has got a little bit more work to do today as the grid is being cleared now. The last couple of mechanics just moving away. Then the cars will be released on their green flag lap. Last opportunity to get a sense of how the track conditions have changed since this morning, in particular, really, how the track has warmed up. And then it will be a 19-lap race. If we do see the intervention of a safety car, then we potentially would run to the 35-minute time period. But yesterday we had a safety car for a big incident involving Anthony Patak and Alexei Chuklin, but we still got our allotted number of laps in on schedule. So the cars, any second now, released on their final sighting lap here as away they go. So Vitor Baptista leading the blue car of Yarin Stern off on the formation lap, with them Yu Kanemaru and Tanart Sathienthirakul next up. Konstantin Tereshchenko clear of Damiano Fioravanti. And then it is Diego Menchaca from Andres Rabiot with Leonardo Pulcini, yesterday's race winner, starting from 9th place. But Pulcini in the DAV racing car could well be able to carve through the pack, because what they have been working on throughout the season has been race pace. So the field stringing along out of turn 1, this very, very steep climb up to the summit of the circuit at turn 2, one of the key overtaking opportunities, and that was where we saw the incident yesterday between Patak and Alexei Chuklin, which results in Chuklin being dispatched into the Armco barrier with quite some force. Fortunately, he was okay, and the Corbetta Competizione team pulling an all-nighter to get his car up and running so that he was out in qualifying this morning. Championship, all the drivers in Dallara F312 chassis, but where this differs slightly from other categories is that they all run on a controlled Toyota engine supplied by the GT Sport organisation, who also supply some of the other components on the cars, which help keep costs at a much more affordable level. And they also all run on a controlled compound Michelin tyre, which does take quite a lot of management. We saw yesterday's race, it took a couple of laps, even with the heat, for the tyre to come in. And then through the course of the race, through the heat, one or two of the teams were saying that by the end of yesterday's race, the drivers were reporting they were beginning to run a little bit low on grip. Well, the fourth place Rivera not here this weekend with the BVM team, nor is his teammate William Barbosa, who is focusing on a return to the field at Spa in September. Barbosa, who'd been going very strongly up till now, so we'll look forward to seeing him back in action in Spa. So in terms of the championship then, what that means is that Tereshchenko has got a reasonably substantial advantage, 25 points or so, over Vitor Baptista, with then Yu Kanemaru a little bit further back on 119 points. Rivera on 92 points won't be adding to that, so a good day for Sathian Thirikul may see him jumping up to fourth. So the cars coming into position now. 19 laps ahead of us. There is Alexei Chuklin's Corbetta Competizione car, just up behind Ahmad Al-Ghanem. And he will line up to the rear of the field. Svenja Racing Team watching on from their garage. I think everybody taking full advantage of the shade as the last few cars roll into position now. So we wait for the lights to come on in sequence. Then we'll be racing for the 10th time this season in the Euroformula Open. Here we go then. Revs rides, lights are on. Out they go, and it's a brilliant start, really, from all of the first three rows. They move away as one, and it's Vitor Baptista who is going to lead into turn one from Yarin Stern. Then it's Kanemaru, Sathian Thirikul, and Tereshchenko. Behind one of the RP cars, runs a little bit wide. So does Enrique Baptista. And it's Igor Walilko who's maybe been shuffled down the pack just a little bit, but the leading quartet breaking clear of Fioravanti. Also well away is Leonardo Pulcini. He looks to gain ground as the field arrive uphill into the braking zone for turn two. Kanemaru snatches a break, doesn't run out too wide. It's possibly Anthony Pataku does, though, as the field sprint on downhill towards turn three. Vitor Baptista looking for a much cleaner opening lap in comparison to race one. Yarin Stern then in second, Kanemaru in third. Tereshchenko has moved up to fourth. Oh, and a bit of contact between the RP cars, between Fioravanti and Andres Saravia. And hopefully that car will be able to get out of the gravel trap as Tereshchenko looks to challenge Yu Kanemaru as they swoop downhill at turn five. Then on to six, and it's Saravia who's stuck in the gravel. It's also been a good start for Jose Manuel Villalta. He's up into ninth place midway through the first lap, as heading downhill into turn eight. Vitor Baptista chasing win number 3 for the season, ahead of Yarin Stern chasing win number 1 for his Euroformula Open career. One or two of them running wide behind. That's Fioravanti who runs out wide. So it's Leonardo Pulcini who is already going to be in 6th at the end of this first lap. So there's the order: Baptista, Stern, Kanemaru, Tereshchenko, Sathian Thirikul, Pulcini. Then we have got Villalta and Menchaca side by side to turn one. It's Villalta, the Mexican driver, who runs out wide. I don't think that has delayed him unduly. It's the field sweep uphill for the second of 19 times. Looking to try and pick a little bit of progress. It is Saravia. So in fact it was Anthony Patak who we lost into the gravel. So Patak in a little bit of trouble. Now, has he been able to get out of there? The timing screen suggests not. We will find out momentarily as the cars head on downhill. Igor Walilko also to the inside of newcomer Parth Gorpard. So here is another look at it, and in fact Patak doing that all by himself. I thought there was a little bit of a hint of a tap with Damiano Fioravanti, not the case. And then through turn 8, both Pulcini and others in a little bit of bother. So here's another look at it. And from that angle, it looked like contact, but the other angle we saw, that wasn't the case. So that is disappointment for Anthony Patak. He is out of the running, is across the line, and Yarin Stern has closed up on Vitor Baptista through the course of that second lap. And Canamaro in third was faster than both the two cars in front. Tereshenko staying with them. Then there's that gap back to Sathian Thirikul and Pulcini. Meanwhile, good scrap going on behind Parth Gorpard, Igor Wililko, Ahmad Al Ghanem, all very much in the mix as the field arrive into turn 2, and Vitor Baptista, having laid down the pace early on, is now possibly just being reeled in by the others. It's Pulcini, the red car, who's the driver on the march. He was flying through the first sector, trying to chase down Tanart Sathian Thirikul as the race leader, the 17-year-old Brazilian, Vitor Baptista, pacing the field. They arrive into turn 3. There is Wililko, busy battling with Ahmad Al Ghanem. They are fighting over 12th place. It's through turn 6, and this leading septet just now easing clear of Diego Menchaca, who's up into 7th. Jose Manuel Vilauta, an excellent performance from him to be in 8th as Yarin Stern. He started this lap 0.6 of a second behind Vitor Baptista. What's going to be the deficit at the end of it? So they swoop down through turn 9, which caught out several of the drivers in free practice on Friday. So across the line we come, and of that leading group, it was Canamaro who was the quickest, but we're talking absolute fractions of a second. The top 4 cars separated by 1.8 seconds. Then we've got Pulcini in 6th, pressurising Tanart Sathian Thirikul, and the Red Bull Ring is a track where you can overtake. Lots of heavy braking zones and lots of opportunity for slipstreaming as well. So then it's Menchaca in 7th, Vilauta is in 8th, Saravi in 9th, Damiano Fioravanti in 10th. As we've got a challenge behind between Ahmad Al Ghanem and Parth Gorpard. Up the hill, it's Al Ghanem, the white car, to the inside of the Indian driver Gorpard, and Ghanem makes the move stick as they head through the second turn. Gorpard, though, will look to fight back down the hill as his Slovenia teammate looks to challenge in the form of Leonardo Pulcini. Meanwhile, somebody kicked up a little bit of dust through turn 4. Just wonder if it was the race leader Vitor Baptista, because he has now got Yarin Stern asking all the right questions on his tail, and Yu Kanemaru is with him as well. So we've got the top 5 cars in the championship that are here this weekend, all running in the top 5 positions. And just over the last lap or so, Baptista starting to look a little bit like the cork in the bottle. Here is another look at Al Ghanem, all arms and elbows through turn 1. As across the line we come then, and that time around, Yarin Stern a little bit quicker than Baptista, but then Stern seemed to lose ground through the first turn. That maybe gives Canemaru the chance to chase down as they head uphill. But the deficit to watch for is the gap back to Leonardo Pulcini did come down on that last lap. So the leading 6 cars separated by a fraction over 3 seconds rather. And we're into that stage of the race where there's a little bit of shadow boxing going on, really. We are only on lap 5 of 19, so they've got a lot of racing in high heat ahead of them. So they all want to stay in contention with each other. They don't want to see the gaps opening up, but at the same time, they don't want to necessarily be in a position where they're over-committing to manoeuvres and risking the car at this stage of the race. So they're letting Baptista do the hard work and running as the hare at the front of the field. Yarin Stern seemingly comfortable in following his wheel tracks, and Stern setting the fastest middle sector of the race. That means there's a tiny gap back to Yu Kanemaru beginning to open up, with Tereshenko chasing Kanemaru, then still Sathian Thirikul being able to maintain the gap back to Pulcini. So this, the end of the 5th lap of the race. They swoop Out of turn 9, oh, and a big spin behind, a huge spin for Andres Saravia. Well recovered from the Guatemalan driver as well. 2 360s into gear and on his way. So I don't think he's lost a couple of places, but no more than that. And the gap between the leading 6 cars, it comes down fractionally again. And Sathian Thirikul looking increasingly like to get onto terms with Terashenko and bringing Pulcini with him for company. So they arrive into turn 2, and Pulcini goes to the move on Sathian Thirikul. He saw a gap to the inside of the driver from Thailand, and he makes it stick as Sathian Thirikul runs wide. Lovely pass that from Leonardo Pulcini. Caught Sathian Thirikul by surprise. Went for the move too late for Tanart to defend the corner, and so Team Westek's Sathian Thirikul demoted into 6th position. Now we will see Pulcini's true pace. There is the 2nd place car of Yarin Stern. His career best result in the Euroformula Open was a 2nd place that he achieved at Paul Ricard back at the start of the 2013 season. Thereafter, he has been finishing on the podium with regularity, but in 3rd place. But can he go one better than 2nd today? We are at the conclusion of lap 6, and it has been reasonably competitive lap from all of them. Here is that huge spin from Saravia, and real proof of the aerodynamic properties of the Dallara F312 chassis, which is these cars have all the grip in the world until they have absolutely none at all, and they really are on a razor's edge, and that's why Formula 3 racing is seen as the University of Motorsport. Another look at the pass from Pulcini, but both Sathian Thirikul and Pulcini could feature later. But you can see Sathian Thirikul dropping back from this leading train. The leading quartet still covered by under 2 seconds, but now Pulcini with some clear air. Can he chase the gap down? Meanwhile, Diego Menchaca in 7th is beginning to get onto terms with Sathian Thirikul. This has been a good lap though from Vitor Baptista. He is appreciably further ahead of Yarin Stern than he was at the start of it, and Stern now may just have to start consulting his mirrors as Kanemaru gets onto his tail. But this is one of those tracks where tactics become really key, because in all the way through testing, free practice and qualifying, we have seen the tiniest of margins, thousandths of a second, separating the cars over a lap time. Therefore, they've got to work together, and they don't want to get embroiled in a fight for 2nd place if it means that Vitor Baptista can romp clear. The fastest lap of the race, by the way, is currently in the hands of Damiano Fioravanti. Fioravanti in 9th, trying to chase down Jose Manuel Villalta. So across the line they come, and the gaps just open up slightly on this lap as now Terashenko beginning to show his hand a little bit closer to Kanemaru as they arrived into the 1st turn. But Terashenko not going to be quite close enough to challenge you as they hit the brakes towards turn 2. Everybody consistently through. Kanemaru, though, will have to defend from Terashenko, maybe en route to turn 3. But again, Vitor Baptista just beginning to turn up the heat now on this 8th lap of the race, easing away from Yarin Stern for the first time. The gap was out to over a second at the end of the last lap. It looks like it is a little bit more than that again midway through this lap. Leonardo Pulcini, although he's set his best lap of the race, isn't closing in on the cars in front. Sathian Thirikul, Diego Menchaca, they're still separated by just over a second. So through turn 6, and the gap's ebbing and flowing. Terashenko has got real confidence in the heavy braking areas, but Kanemaru possibly a little bit more confident in his handling mid-corner and then getting the power down in the apex. So we've got 4 different teams represented, or 5 different teams in the top 5 places. It's RP Motorsport who lead with Vitor Baptista, then Westek with Yarin Stern, Emilio de Vallota for Kanemaru, Campos Racing for Terashenko, and the Devania team, Dievi Racing, for Leonardo Pulcini in 5th, which underlies the evenness of competition within the Euroformula Open. In 6th place, it remains Tanart Sathian Thirikul. 7th is Diego Menchaca. 8th, Jose Manuel Villalta. 9th for Damiano Fioravanti. 10th, Igor Lilko. 11th, Enrique Baptista 12th. We've got Andres Saravia, then Ahmed Al Ghanem and Parth Gorpard still continuing to battle. Replay here of a big moment for Al Ghanem. It's coming through turn one. Now let's hope that he wasn't collected by Gorpard. No, he wasn't. But Ghanem is going to have to do all the hard work again to get back onto terms with the Indian driver. The Campos team frustrated. They'll be even more frustrated as championship leader Tereshenko puts two wheels into the gravel coming through turn five. It gives an indication of just how hard this leading group of cars are trying as we are rapidly approaching half race distance. This is the end of lap 9 of 19. And now Pulcini is on the cusp of potentially getting into the tow behind Tereshenko. Across the line they streak, and that time around Yaron Stern a little bit quicker than Vitor Baptista by about 1/10 of a second. Here's another look then at the moment for Tereshenko, just understeers out wide, little leap over the curb. Right foot remained planted, and that drove him out of trouble, out of the gravel trap. Replay meanwhile of Damiano Fioravanti to the inside of Jose Manuel Villalta. So Villalta down into 9th, but he still remains the third rookie behind Diego Menchaca and Leonardo Pulcini. And Pulcini beginning to reel in Tereshenko here. So we've got the race leader Baptista, just over a second clear of Yaron Stern. Stern has got Yuki Namaru about half a second behind him. And then we've now got some daylight back to Tereshenko, who has got Pulcini in close pursuit. Downhill through turn 5, and then the left-hand flick at 6. And Tereshenko having a very good middle sector on this lap, though the fastest of anybody in the race. So that builds him a little bit of a buffer over Pulcini. As the championship leader, well, he's going to give away points here to both Kanemaru and Baptista. Konstantin Tereshenko would be on course for 12 points if things remain as they are, as opposed to the 25 points for Baptista. So essentially Baptista would halve Tereshenko's advantage in the championship with 6 races remaining, as the Russian driver Konstantin Tereshenko just rides out over the sausage curb in the exit of turn 1. Although this group have been more or less in contention, nobody's been quite close enough to really launch a challenge on the drivers around them, although Stern snatches the break into turn 2. Kanemaru trying to capitalise, taking a slightly tighter line than perhaps he was otherwise planning to. And Kanemaru a little bit closer to Yaron Stern than he was. Now, we saw in yesterday's race that Stern had a sprightly start, and then the car began to fade as the race wore on. I just wonder whether or not the same is beginning to happen here, because Stern, well, we'll find out at the end of the middle sector, but Stern would appear to have had not quite the lap he was hoping for. As he heads through sector 2, well, he's in fact matching the pace of the race leader Baptista. So it's more the case that Kanemaru had an excellent run through the first sector, and that has given, last time through, Kanemaru the fastest lap of the race as well. And there's an additional point for that for Kanemaru, so that will help his championship cause a little bit. Through they come into the 12th lap of the race, and Vitor Baptista responding perfectly to the pressure that he was under after yesterday's race, which really did not go as he wanted to. A couple of Gravelwoods excursions, then a retirement. Bounced back with pole position this morning during qualifying, and this is an error-free race so far, but we did have in the races at Silverstone a couple of mistakes creeping in late on, and certainly in the heat today there is the risk of driver fatigue possibly becoming a factor. Kanemaru works the wheel out of turn 3, flicking through turn 4. Yaron Stern, though, controlling that gap. There's another look then, a lick of flame from Kanemaru. One win this year for you, Kanemaru. A number of other podiums along the way. As Baptista heads downhill into turn 8, and this has been an excellent lap from Vitor Baptista, and one where he's well and truly broken away from Yarin Stern, so accelerating now out of turn 9 to break the timing beam at the end of this 12th lap of the race, and Vitor Baptista sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:29.066, and suddenly the advantage over Stern goes out to almost 2 seconds. Konstantin Tereshchenko in 4th, also posting his best lap of the race, so he inches closer to the cars in front and away from Leonardo Pulcini in 5th. Cars heading on uphill towards turn 2. It's a replay of Vitor Baptista just absolutely on the limit. The car riding the curb as he'd want it to. As Kanemaru still in the tow behind Yarin Stern, and that's the real key. If Kanemaru can stay behind Stern in the tow, then there's every possibility of catching Stern by surprise later on. We've got yellow flag over at turn 3-4 section, possibly for Andres Saravia, who didn't come through at the end of the last lap. So that'd be a great shame for Saravia. As Vitor Baptista heads downhill, Kanemaru still chasing Yarin Stern. This has been a good lap from Yarin, and he has broken away a little bit from Kanemaru during the final couple of sectors, so he accelerates out of turn 9. Across the line he comes into lap number 14. 6 to go, and the gap between Stern and Kanemaru does open out to fractionally over 3/4 of a second as the pair of them fight the wheel through turn 1. And Stern a much smoother run. Be interesting to see as they approach the end of the first sector how much time Kanemaru lost. Just made that slight mistake through turn 1, and it's cost him a couple of tenths of a second as a result. So Stern beginning to consolidate that second position. Here we see Stern at the wheel, but then you see just behind, a little bit sideways, correcting the opposite lock from Yu Kanemaru. And that fractional delay is what has really cost him then going up the long run towards turn 2. Vitor Baptista for RP Motorsport leading the way, just over a couple of seconds clear of Yarin Stern in second. Third is Yu Kanemaru, but Kanemaru just falling adrift of Yarin Stern in 4th place. It's Konstantin Tereshchenko. 5th is Leonardo Pulcini. That battle has never quite come together as we hoped it would. In 6th place, it's Tanat Sathian Thirikul. 7th is Diego Menchaca. 8th, Damiano Fioravanti. 9th is Jose Manuel Villalta. And completing the top 10, Igor Walilko. So the laps being reeled off very rapidly here at the Red Bull Ring. And Pulcini, well, that was a little bit better in comparison to Tereshchenko, and the Italian coming back towards the Russian driver now in the fight for 4th place. Likewise, Kanemaru maybe a little bit closer to Yarin Stern. The gap between the pair of them had opened up to 8 tenths of a second at the start of the lap. It looks like it's a little bit under that now. Question is, of course, how much life do these drivers have left in their Michelin tyres? We're on lap 15 of 19. They haven't really had to engage in too much in the way of wheel-to-wheel dicing, which will have helped preserve the tyre life a little bit. But Pulcini now is coming towards Tereshchenko quite rapidly. Tereshchenko braking deep into turn 3. Still got the yellow flags there for the car of Andres Saravia, so it takes away one of the overtaking opportunities, as then it's down through 5 and 6, but Tereshchenko has generally been a little bit quicker than Pulcini through the past few laps. And Kanemaru just begins to get into the turbulent air behind Yarin Stern as well, and that's always the challenge in these Euroformula Open cars, is that because the aerodynamics are not dissimilar to that of miniature Formula 1 cars, there is a wake of turbulent air that gets kicked from the car in front, and it means that when you get to within a second or so of the car you're chasing, then you have to start to drive through the understeer and the buffeting from the forces. So across the line we go. And that was another good lap from Pulcini. He's now just 6/10 adrift of Tereshchenko. Contemplates having a little bit of a look into turn 1. Also, Kanemaru was 4/10 quicker than Yarin Stern last time round. So suddenly, with just a handful of tours of the Red Bull Ring remaining, we might see some changes in position. Really depends just how much life Kanemaru and Pulcini have got left in their Michelins as to whether or not they can really pressurise the cars in front of them. But Pulcini gets a great run out of turn 2. There is now a green flag into turn 3, so Pulcini could make the challenge. Here is the race leader, Vitor Baptista. Baptista is set fair and on his way. It's more going to be a case of the battles behind. Kanemaru couldn't find a way past Yarin Stern, but Pulcini might have been able to squeeze past Tereshchenko because he was appreciably closer to the Russian driver as they came out of turn 2. I think it's Tereshchenko who's still just got his nose in front, as we have only got 3 laps to get at the end of this one. Kanemaru chasing Stern. Here is a look, meanwhile, at a challenge from Igor Walilko on Jose Manuel Villalta. Walilko goes through, and that is for the 3rd spot on the rookie podium. So significant pass that for Igor Walilko. Nonetheless, for Jose Manuel Villalta, he is still on course for his first Euroformula Open point as Baptista heads uphill. The fight for 2nd and 3rd continues, as does the fight for 4th and 5th. And at the back of the picture, you can see that Leonardo Pulcini's got an excellent run now on Tereshchenko. Tereshchenko covers the inside line, and Pulcini tries to sell him the dummy, snatches a break into turn 2, looks for the switchback, but Tereshchenko just takes the perfect line, and Tereshchenko really a master of defensive driving. But again, Pulcini has got the advantage of the slipstream all the way down the back straight now. Can he challenge into turn 3? He looks for the move to the inside, but the gap that was open disappears. And this will be anxious for Tereshchenko and the Campos Racing team, because with Tereshchenko emphatically in the championship hunt, although it's the 14 best results, the 16 that count, and therefore Tereshchenko, the way the season's gone, he's into the realms of drop scores. He doesn't want a non-finish. For Pulcini, though, it was a fantastic run to turn 2, but Tereshchenko planted the car in the middle of the road, and there was no way past for the Italian as we start the penultimate lap of the race. And now, can Pulcini get another good exit from the first corner to challenge Tereshchenko on the charge uphill towards turn 2? Tereshchenko always looks so composed at the wheel of the Campos car. So he gets the exit he needs, but Pulcini is still there, and the slipstream effect will help drag the Italian driver uphill, but I don't think he's as close as he was last time. So Pulcini will have to settle instead for trying to force a mistake from the unflappable Russian. See just that slight correction from Pulcini mid-corner. Leonardo pulls into pursuit of Tereshchenko. Tereshchenko running very wide through turn 4, but so does Pulcini, so there's no way through. Still at the front of the field, Vitor Baptista leads, and he's also got the fastest lap to his credit. He set that last time around, and he's about to better it. And so Baptista looking for a maximum 27-point haul from today. Pole position, race win, and fastest lap. Kanemaru still not too far adrift of Yarin Stern, as he got something in reserve for the final lap of the race, which they start now. And Baptista powers through. Yarin Stern will match his career best Euroformula Open result if he remains in 2nd position. Kanemaru almost 3/4 of a second back going into this final lap. That feels like it's going to be a little bit too much of an ask for the Japanese driver. And likewise, Pulcini is 2nd adrift to Tereshchenko. And you get the sense that the Italian driver's best opportunity has come and gone. But Leonardo Pulcini still set to win the rookie race from Diogo Menchaca and Igor Wililko, the same podium that we had yesterday for the rookies. Vitor Baptista halfway through the final lap of the race. This will be his third victory of the season. It will be his 7th podium in 10 races. And after the disappointments of Silverstone, where mistakes cost him a couple of places, the disappointment of yesterday, he has bounced back in the best possible way. He sets the fastest lap of the race on the penultimate lap of the race. It has been an emphatic performance from Vitor Baptista. He's steadily turned up the heat as the race has unfolded, and he exits the final turn now, accelerates through to the checker flag, and Vitor Baptista and RP Motorsport win the 10th round of the Euroformula Open season, and that brings the championship fight right back to life. Second place to Yarin Stern. Yu Kanemaru completes the podium with Terashenko across the line in 4th, Leonardo Pulcini, the top rookie, in 5th, from Tanart Sathienthirakul, Diogo Menchaca in 7th, Damiano Fioravanti in 8th, and then we wait for Igor Wililko. He takes 9th, and the 3rd rookie. And Jose Manuel Vilauta, a career best 10th place, his first point, just holding off Enrique Baptista to the line. So an intriguing race, and one which really saw the drivers pushing their cars to the potential. We didn't quite get the battles cracking into life that maybe we thought might happen early on in the race. But in terms of the story of the season, the closing up of the championship, well, that has still got plenty of twists and turns. We've got 3 events remaining. We are about to embark on the summer break for the Euroformula Open. We will return the first week of September, Spa-Francorchamps. Then it's on to Monza at the start of October, and the season finishing the back end of October, start of November at the Circuit Catalunya. A look then at the results. Vitor Baptista wins it and sets fastest lap, almost 5 seconds clear of Yarin Stern in 2nd, Yu Kanemaru in 3rd, Konstantin Terashenko good points in 4th, Pulcini top rookie in 5th, from Sathienthirakul, Diogo Menchaca 2nd rookie 7th, clear of Damiano Fioravanti, Igor Wililko once more to the rookie rostrum in 9th, and then Jose Manuel Vilauta completes the top 10. Enrique Baptista in 11th, Path Gorpard saw off the challenge from Ahmed Al-Ghanem. And then we lost Patak and Saravia. So in terms of the championship, well, here we go. 11 points the difference between Terashenko and Baptista. Kanemaru, I think, will have to rely on misfortune for those ahead of him to come back into the fight. And Sathienthirakul jumps up to 4th, with Yarin Stern snapping at Rivera's heels as well. So 6 races remain. Who will be the Euroformula Open champion? You get the feeling it's going to go all the way through to the final race of the season. For now, though, Vitor Baptista can celebrate in the sunshine of the Red Bull Ring. An absolutely perfectly managed performance. He wins it. Yarin Stern, a great drive to 2nd place, and another trip to the podium for him. And Yu Kanemaru, likewise, back on song after yesterday's retirement. Well, for Vitor Baptista, it will feel like a very long time since the middle of May and his last win in Estoril. So he celebrates with the RP Motorsport team. Likewise, Yarin Stern enjoying the congratulations of Craig and the West Tech team. He couldn't quite force that move on Baptista when he was running close to the Brazilian early on in the race. But nonetheless, we'll be very pleased, I'm sure, with that 2nd place finish. Kanemaru likewise to ease away from Terashenko. There is Leonardo Pulcini, and Pulcini once more the top rookie, once more really in contention. And although it's a little bit early to start thinking about 2016, if he returns to the championship next year, Pulcini, he would surely be one of the title favourites, because the pace really coming together with that car. So let's have a look, super slow motion, at our podium finishers, and then we will hope to head down to Parc Ferme to hear from our race winner, Vitor Baptista. So the drivers shortly on to the podium. Fans here at the Red Bull Ring enjoying the action in the formidable heat. It shows just how hard these drivers work on their fitness, as we'll now go and hear from our race winner, Vitor Baptista.
Vitor Baptista, great win today at the Red Bull Ring. It's a perfect day after yesterday.
Yeah, perfect day. Yesterday was a bad day for me. I did a mistake. I was on pole. I was first position on my first lap, but I did the mistake and I went out. And after the engine broke it. But anyway, today I did the pole again, and I could do a good pace during the race, open a little bit gap in the final, and was perfect. Thank you, team, for all the job that you did during the night.
Well done. It's good for the championship. Podium now. Bravo.
So let's take a look back at the highlights then of Baptista's third victory of the season, and he absolutely nailed the start to have the advantage on Yarin Stern as the pack jostled for position into turn one. The big winner in the opening exchanges was the fearless Leonardo Pulcini. He took advantage of others running wide to eventually merge in fifth place through the opening exchanges. An early casualty though was Anthony Patak, spinning into retirement, just stranded in the gravel trap on the exit of turn 3. Pulcini moved up to fifth, the brave move on Tanat Sathian Thirikul, going for a gap that was left at the last moment as Andres Saravia had a huge spin coming through turn 8 and eventually was forced into retirement. There's another good scrap going on behind from Jose Manuel Villalta, who was busy en route to his best results of the year. Well, late on, Pulcini got onto terms with Tereshenko in the fight for fourth, but he couldn't find a way past the championship leader. Out front, though, Baptista was leading. We had a race-long tussle for second between Yarin Stern and Yu Kanemaru, but the Japanese just could not find a way past Team Westek's Yarin Stern. So it was win at number 3 for 2015 for Vitor Baptista. He closes to within 12 points of Konstantin Tereshenko in the title. Yarin Stern in second place, and Yu Kanemaru completing the podium with Pulcini, the top rookie, ahead of Menchaka and Igor Wililko. So the drivers up on to the podium. And in third place, Yu Kanemaru. Runner-up, Yarin Stern. And race winner, Vitor Baptista, to a roar from the assembled mechanics from RP Motorsport. It's RP Motorsport who are the winning team once more in the Euroformula Open. Vitor Baptista saluted by the Brazilian national anthem playing out here at the Red Bull Ring as we move on to the presentation of the trophies. Well, the drivers have now got the summer break to do some work in the simulators, do some testing ahead of the championship, reconvening the first weekend of September at one of the season highlights, Spa-Francorchamps. The drivers love it, the fans love it, and it always produces some great racing. Whether or not it will be quite as warm as it has been here in the Red Bull Ring, we will find out in about 8 weeks' time. So the drivers celebrating on the podium. We have still, of course, got the rookie podium to come, but for now, time to celebrate with the champagne for Vitor Baptista, Yarin Stern and Yu Kanemaru on the Red Bull Ring rostrum. And Baptista, the perfect day He does the gentleman's set and begins to reel in Konstantin Tereshchenko once more. Well, Leonardo Pulcini, not the outright race winner today, not quite on the outright race podium, but nonetheless another excellent weekend for the Italian driver. The pace was there at Silverstone, but contact early in race one means that he didn't quite get the opportunity to show how quickly he could have gone, but clearly with each and every round, the DAF Racing squad getting better and better as they work together with Pulcini. I expect we can see Pulcini challenging for wins through the remainder of the season, particularly once we go on to Monza at the start of October and DAF Racing's home event. So first of all, onto the podium, our third rookie, Igor Walilko. Walilko having to put together a fighting drive. He was towards the back of the field early on, eventually overhauled Jose Manuel Falauta late on. Our runner-up, again in the rookie class, Diego Menchaca. Another solid weekend for Menchaca. 2 strong points finishes. And top rookie, Leonardo Pulcini for the DAF Racing team. The Italian national anthem in honour of top rookie Leonardo Pulcini, who has had a clean sweep of the rookie podium this weekend. So as the trophies are presented, we are about to embark on our summer break for the Euroformula Open. We will be back in action in Spa the first weekend of September as the championship fight resumes. In the meantime, from myself, Ben Evans, and everybody in the Euroformula Open paddock, thank you for joining us this weekend at the Red Bull Ring. We will see you at Spa in September, and then on to Monza and the championship finale and the Circuit to Catalunya.